15 recent discoveries that could change our past. We tend to think of history as we think of our own past, permanent, fixed in time, never to be changed. But in fact, the more we discover about our world, the more history does change. Number 15. Liquid water flows on Mars. We've been very much in the habit of thinking we are exceptional in the universe because we live on a planet that teems with life in so many forms. The tiny portion of our own galaxy that we've managed to explore reveals no other identifiable life, so we have felt alone, perhaps superior.
I'm never alone.
Recent exploration of our neighbor planet, Mars, has revealed that water does in fact flow there in liquid form, at least some of the time. The water is salty and flows seasonally, but NASA scientists confirm that this does give Mars at least one of the known ingredients for sustaining life. The lurking suspicion of Martians may not be so far-fetched after all.
Stay away!
Number 14. During the 20th century, Area 51 provided a hell of a lot of fuel to the fires of science fiction lore and legend everywhere. Myths and rumors abounded, growing more outrageous and terrifying with every retelling. Ultimately, most of it was rejected as unfounded since the United States government did not provide any verification of supposed discoveries regarding alien life forms. However, the US government has recently admitted to the existence of Area 51, designating it a place for testing and training. Although there is no evidence that anything related to extraterrestrial research is going on, previous anecdotal evidence from those who claim to be witnesses is being reconsidered.
Whoa!
Number 13. Buddha's actual birthday. The actual birth date of the Buddha, also known as Siddhartha Gautama, has remained a complete mystery until recently. There was an archaeological dig at a place suspected to be where the Buddha was born, which led to theoretical speculation that he was in fact born about 563 BCE in Nepal.
That's my birthday.
It is believed he most likely lived during the 6th century, in part due to the discovery of a timber structure buried beneath a temple made of brick. The remains of a tree were also found, and history to this point has held that Buddha was born beneath a tree.
Whoa, man!
Number 12. Mysterious purpose of Stonehenge. Stonehenge is one of the wonders of the world, in part because of the aura and mystery that has always surrounded it. Rumor, speculation, myth, and legend have congregated around it with varying ideas about what the immense stone circle actually was to the ancient people who built it.
What is this damn thing?
Popular ideas about its purpose have ranged from ritual use for pre-Celtic pagans to some kind of astronomical compass or astrolabe. No conclusive proof has arisen to confirm or deny any of the many theories proposed. Until, in 2013, when an archaeologist discovered the bones of aurochs, a type of prehistoric cattle, at Stonehenge. Aurochs were absolutely necessary for food and other prehistoric human necessities. The finding of their remains at this long, mysterious site sheds new light on what it actually was.
What's the meaning of this?
Number 11. Discovery of Australia. A man called James Cook is credited with the discovery of Australia in 1770. However, an archaeologist recently unearthed ancient coins, which when tested, were revealed to date back to somewhere between the years 900 and 1300. In essence, this is proof positive that James Cook was actually late to the party in visiting Australia.
Party pooper.
Number 10. Jamestown cannibals. The colonists of North America were woefully unprepared for the harsh winters that met them on the shores of their new land. It has always been recognized that drastic measures had to be taken to survive, but that many died anyway.
Bye!
What had not been realized until recently is that the settlers at Jamestown actually went so far as to resort to cannibalism during their starvation.
Yick!
The bones of a colonist were found among the bones of pigs and cows and other animals used for meat. Upon the skull were found markings typical of cannibalism. The archaeological evidence convicts the Jamestown colonists of eating each other to survive.
Ew!
Number 9. New oldest civilization, Göbekli Tepe. Humans have thought for centuries that Stonehenge was the most ancient monument indicating civilization. However, the recent discovery of Turkey's Göbekli Tepe has changed all that. Situated at the northern edge of the Fertile Crescent, Göbekli Tepe would have been a paradise at the time this most ancient of monuments was built, according to archaeologists. It has been found to predate Stonehenge by a whopping 6,000 years and is believed to be the site of the first human-built holy place on Earth.
Who built the other ones?
Number 8. Death of King Richard III. The fate of King Richard III of England was a mystery for hundreds of years. He ruled from 1483 to 1485, but it was unknown how he died until his remains were discovered in 2012 underneath a parking lot in Leicester. It was confirmed that he died at the Battle of Bosworth, the last English king to die fighting. More recent research indicates that Richard sustained 11 wounds at or around the time of his death, 9 of them to his skull.
Yowie!
At least one potentially fatal wound was probably inflicted post-mortem to the pelvis. The markings of weapons on bone indicate that Richard was not wearing his helmet when he died, though all indications are that he was otherwise armored. Number 7. Noah's Ark databank of every organism living or dead. Moscow University has secured the largest grant in Russian history in order to create the world's first database of every living organism, living, dead, or extinct. They consider it a challenge they have set for themselves and approach it with enthusiasm, since it will attract the next generation of scientists. This new Noah's Ark is scheduled to be completed in the year 2018.
This sounds impossible.
Number 6. Ancient star system, Kepler 444. In January of 2015, it was announced that the existence of an 11 billion-year-old star with orbiting planets had been discovered. It was named Kepler 444 and proves that galaxies such as our own have been forming for billions of years in the vast universe. We in the Milky Way galaxy are nothing unique.
Says you.
Number 5. Tomb of 10,000 Warriors. Qin Shi Huang was the first emperor of China. He ascended to the throne at the age of 13 in 246 BCE, and according to a historian of the time, work began on a mausoleum soon afterward. The result of this tireless labor is an astonishing necropolis built for the emperor, along with his army of 10,000 terracotta warriors, ranging in height from the highest ranked, tallest, to the lowest ranked, shortest. The discovery of his tomb reawakened interest in China's extensive history, offering even more astonishing discoveries than had ever been imagined, leading to a new understanding of ancient history.
I already knew that.
Number 4. Akrotiri on Thera. Akrotiri, on the Greek island of Thera, was a Bronze Age settlement estimated to have been home to several thousand inhabitants in its prime. Having been destroyed once circa 1550 BCE by an earthquake, the inhabitants defiantly rebuilt their city on an even grander scale than before. In 1500 BCE, the city again was damaged by earthquake tremors. The indications are that although once work had begun again to rebuild the city, the inhabitants were warned somehow to evacuate. There were no human remains found at the site, which was buried in volcanic ash, in such devastating fashion that Akrotiri had been compared with the famous Roman city of Pompeii. It is thought that this ancient place might be the origin of the Atlantis myth that still persists today.
Where'd they go?
Number 3. Nineveh and the ancient Assyrian library. The founding of this city dates as far back as 6000 BCE.
That's like last week, right?
Its discovery revolutionized the way people thought about human history, opening up entirely new vistas of possibilities. Ashurbanipal, who reigned in 668 through 627 BCE, was Assyria's last king. His interest in learning and knowledge resulted in his famous library, which held over 30,000 inscribed clay tablets, the ancient versions of books. The belief that early humans were uninterested in literature or learning was shattered by this discovery, changing the way humanity perceived its ancestors.
You're a genius.
Number 2. The Dead Sea Scrolls. These ancient writings were discovered quite unexpectedly by a goat herd who wandered into a cave and found them there. The Dead Sea Scrolls were found in a series of 11 caves in Qumran and entirely changed the perception of Judeo-Christian history and religion. Bedouin shepherds, including the goat herd mentioned above, and 2 of his brothers, discovered the first 7 scrolls by accident. Since then, more scrolls have been found in other caves as well. These are some of the most ancient texts we have that speak directly and contemporaneously of the Bible, and what they reveal changes much of what we once perceived in that regard.
Everything's changing.
Number 1. Why did the Mayan Empire really fall? The Mayans fascinate us because in many ways they were us. They were a technologically advanced, sophisticated society that thrived and grew in beauty and power, seeming like it would never end. But then it did, leaving behind monuments of astonishing complexity and beauty, and myriad questions about how and why they suddenly vanished from history. Their civilization perished without explanation. Recent discoveries indicate the Mayans were even more like us than we thought. They recklessly devoured their environment in their rampant growth, deforesting the region and causing a drought that was ultimately their downfall.
Dummy!
Crops failed because of the drought, which was because of the deforestation. And during the population explosion of that time and place, it was catastrophic. It put an end to their advanced, thriving civilization, turning busy metropolis areas to wasted ruins in the space of less than a century. We could take a warning from this. But will we?
No, we won't.